Hi, everybody. This is Kelly Price. We real grown over here.
grownfolksmusic.com.
Kelly Price. Welcome to
Thank
grownfolksmusic.com.
you. Thank you. Thank
It's
you.
a
Thank you.
it's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
The new EP is a gospel EP and it comes 15 years after your first gospel album. I heard you say that you had started making R&B music and then there was a switch. You started
Yeah.
making new R&B music and then there was a switch. Tell us what that switch was.
Oh, gosh. So it was a combination of things, which ended up literally being slammed by 2020 and what happened to us in the entire world. So over the last few years, while working on television and film projects, um, in the last couple of years, I've been invited to become a judge on Sunday Best. After the network decided to reimagine it, and they brought in Jesse Collins to, give it like a complete facelift. And so, in his reimagining, what Sunday Best would look like, he had a desire to bring in a judge outside of the gospel music genre, but one who understood it and could relate to it, and and that community knew and loved and accepted them. And so I got a call, and they asked me, "How do you feel about, would you consider being a judge on Sunday Best?" And I'm like, "Heck yeah!" First of all, I'm the biggest church kid. Like everybody has known that from the very beginning. Never been anything that I've hidden. So I was excited to do that. In doing that, while I was in between projects, shooting American Soul, feature films, that kind of thing, I was teasing the new R&B music. I have literally been recording R&B music in between projects probably for like the last 3 years, and posting clips every now and then on my social media to kind of tease the music. After becoming a judge on Sunday Best and doing the finale, the first season that I was on, which was season 9, got an amazing response singing a Clark sister, really Dorinda Clark Cole cover, because I didn't have new original music and I didn't want to go back that far to the old album and revisit one of those songs. So when I was invited to come back for season 10, I was like, maybe you should have some music so that when you do the finale and they ask all of the judges to perform, you'll have some music of your own to present. So in my mind, it was just going to be a single. And then did a throwback post early last year while thinking about the single and how I was going to push it on Sunday Best. And I did this throwback post with a photo from the last live gospel album recording. And I was like, dang, I didn't realize it's been 15 years since I recorded this project. Maybe it's time for a whole project. And got a little message up underneath that post from EJ Gaines over at Motown Gospel, senior vice president. And he was like, hey, check your DM. So I checked my DM. He's like, is your number the same? I need to talk to you. I'm like, no, my number's not the same, but whatever. He sent me his number. I called him and he said, are you serious about doing an entire gospel project? I said, I think I am. He said, well, if you are, I think Motown Gospel would be an amazing home for that project. We'd love to have a conversation with you about it. I was like, okay, give me a day or so. Let me think about it and I'll call you. A week later, I was on a plane to Nashville, sitting in the offices with EJ and Monica Gaines. And that very great 3-hour plus meeting turned into us moving into a negotiation process to do a joint venture with my company for this project, Grace. And then COVID happened and shut the world down and shut down production of Sunday Best. And I lost my grandfather about 3 weeks into the lockdown, lost several family members and friends and people that I'd grown up with and sung with in church and in school, to the tune of about 15 or so people. And so the project kept pushing back, pushing back, pushing back. We got to the end of the year and I was like, God, I don't think I can take anymore. And then that last call happened. They called me early that Sunday morning and told me that my mother was gone. And so I had to get through that, get through the funeral, got back home in early November after traveling for her funeral, and thought about it. And I really kind of wanted to just shut down, but I didn't like the way I was feeling inside. I had spent most of the year crying. And so I decided to do the opposite. I dug my feet into the ground and I said, I need to go in the studio and I need to do this project. Because if I'm tired of crying and if I feel this way, I can only imagine, what the people around the world feel like. We all felt last year. So in December, I went in the studio and my concentration was to get this project done so that it could revitalize me first and to help start the healing process in my own life first. And hopefully that which it brought to me, people would feel once we put the music out, and hopefully it would help people. And so that's the long and the short of it. It started off one way, ended up being something that I really would find myself needing by the end of last year. And it has been it's been a great beginning of the healing process for me after having the year that I had last year. So I'm really excited about this project, and I'm hoping that people can feel my heart, my passion, the love, not just my pain, because there's a little bit of pain in there, but I tried really, really hard to put joy in this project and let that be what people felt. So what they will feel are my emotions, but a determination to not live in that space of funk, of dark, of, depression, of any of that, but to lean into my faith and allow that to be the thing that helps pluck me out of this place so that I can go on and keep living and be purposeful in my life moving forward.
Listeners, as fans of music, we think about how music blesses us, but we never really think about that it's also healing for the people who make the music, for the artists themselves.
Yes, and to that I'll say, I make the comparison to a pipe. A pipe is a conduit, and through the pipes, the water flows and it comes to the faucet and you can get your water. There's no way for the pipe to deliver water to you without getting wet itself. Mm-hmm. So I look at it as I'm a conduit of this joy. I'm a conduit of this grace. I'm a conduit of all of it. And while my heart is to deliver it to you, there's no way I can bring it to you without getting wet myself. So I was looking forward to the process of getting wet while making this project, of being healed, of receiving healing as I pass that on to the world. And so, and I know what it has done for me in the past. I know what other people have said it's done for them in the past. And I went into this counting on that it would do just that for me. And so it's just the beginning. I am intentional about my day-to-day, intentional about what I take into my eyes, intentional about what I listen to, because it's still very fresh. But all of that and seeing a therapist, because ain't nothing wrong with that too. Like I need all of it. I pray, I listen to my word, I listen to my sermons, I listen to happy music, I watch funny stuff on TV so I can stay in a good place, but I'm talking to my therapist too. So I would suggest that anybody that finds that they're in a place and they need to talk to somebody, do not shun that. It's so necessary. And it's a blessing to have people that have that skill set that can help you when you find yourself in a place that you can't do it yourself.
I saw a teaser pic of you on Instagram, on your Instagram, of you, Shanice Wilson and Miss Shantae Moore. Is there anything you can share about that picture?
Not a whole lot, but I will tell you this. There is music involved. There is acting involved. There is choreography involved. It is not reality TV. It is scripted television. And it was a reunion of epic proportions. We had so much fun. Catching up, seeing everybody after, first of all, the year that we had last year, but literally after years of not seeing the ladies, just a really good time. And hearing them sing and singing with them was an amazing treat. What I can tell you is that you all will not be disappointed when it is revealed. I can't say much more than that, or the network will absolutely have my head on a guillotine. But it was a lot of fun. It was a great week plus spent with the ladies in rehearsals and all of that kind of stuff. And we had a ball. That much I can tell you, we had a ball. It was a great time.
I know we're here to talk about Grace, but before we go, yes, I just need to tell you, thank you for Tired. Tired is still on my playlist. And let me tell you something, Kelly Price. You came to Atlanta. I don't know if you were already in Atlanta when you released that song, and you were at a radio station. I won't mention the call name, but you were at their event, its event. And you sang Tired, and I'm telling you, we almost ran through that convention center.
I remember I had my band.
Almost threw something at the stage. You know how in church they used to throw the handkerchief?
Yes. We threw everything that wasn't nailed down in church.
I just want to thank you for that song. That song means a lot to me, and it's still on my playlist.
Yeah, I had to live it before I could write it. That's the honest to God. That's true of just about every song I've ever written. I had to live it before I could write it and sing about it. And so every time I sang it, I threw my whole back and my passion and my pain and my frustration and my life experience into it. And it's always an honor to be able to share, just for what you just said, because I know I'm not the only one going through it. Somebody else is going through the same thing.
You talk about grace itself and why it's so important. Can you share some? You've talked about that in
Yes.
other interviews. Can you share some of that with the grown folks?
Yes. So grace is a subject that is very near and dear to my heart. And I'll start by saying what I've said in so many interviews and in just personal conversations. Grace is that thing that we don't necessarily know how important it is until we need it ourselves. You know, it's easy to find fault in somebody, and perhaps they earned that. They earned it. They did something that deserves, you know, to have fault found in them. However, every single person walking this earth is going to need grace extended to them. Every day that we wake up is grace being extended to us to draw breath, to live, to breathe, to have another day on this planet. And I think now more than ever, people really understand and respect that. But outside of that, I've really been combating this thing called cancel culture with grace. Grace and cancel culture are polar opposites. And if you know, to go even further, I would say that cancel culture is anti-grace. And so I have an acronym that I thank God he kind of gave me an understanding of how to break it down, because I knew I'd be talking a lot about grace during this project. Grace is a gift. It's responsibility, it's accountability, but it's done with compassion and empathy. So if I have an issue with you because you've wronged me, or if someone has done something, or we see somebody did something crazy and everybody's screaming, cancel, 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 we have to remember first and foremost that grace is a gift that we receive from God the Father every day of our lives, every day that we wake up. We freely receive it, so we should freely give it to others. Responsibility, we all should be responsible. We should expect that of others. Accountability, absolutely. We should be accountable for our actions. It is not wrong to expect accountability of other people. But the difference between just pointing a finger and saying, you should be responsible, you should be accountable, what makes it grace is when you couple that with compassion and empathy, GRACE. You couple it with compassion and empathy, and it becomes an act of restoration in that moment. When you extend grace to somebody that's messed up, it becomes an act of compassion. It becomes an act of empathy. It becomes restorative. It becomes the thing that can bring somebody and move them into healing. Yes, they'll have to deal with what they've done or what they've said, or whatever finds them in that position. But it's good for people to know that the whole world isn't throwing them away. It's good for people to know that the whole world isn't counting them out. Because again, at some point in time, we're going to need for people to extend a level of grace to us, whether it's something that we slipped up on or something that we walked into with our eyes wide open because we thought we were big and bad enough and grown enough to do it. You're going to need for somebody to extend grace to you one day. And so I challenge people to practice it every day. Practice it. Just take one of the letters. It's a gift. Responsibility, accountability, compassion, empathy. Just take one property of the word grace and make that your focus for the day. And because you just never know what somebody's going through. You pass by a woman in the grocery store and she's oblivious to what's going on and she's blocking everything up, and you think she's being an idiot or being rude, and her mind is someplace else completely. You don't know what that phone call was she just got off of. You don't know what she's going home to. You don't know what she just left at home. You don't know what she just walked away from at work. We have to keep that in mind. And I think now more than ever, in a world where we literally have found ourselves talking to somebody today and tomorrow getting a call that they're not here. It's something that we all deserve, not because we earned it, but because God said we can have it. And with that, we got to be more willing to extend it to other people. So I'm really hoping that people walk with this message and choose to be more intentional about extending grace to people every day.
I'm from Detroit, so it warmed my heart to hear you cover Alicia Myers.
Yeah.
What made you decide to choose to cover that song for the EP?
So on every R&B album, if you recall, I always do a gospel song. So I decided that since this is a gospel project, that I was going to do a R&B or a soul record. Obviously something that makes sense in keeping of the body of work for this project. But first and foremost, that song I heard at every block party growing up in New York. every cookout, every, picnic, whatever, like it was a part of the soundtrack of my childhood, being a child of the late 70s, early 80s, growing up in the projects of New York City. And so I've always loved the song. And there was always something really special to me about it. Not only did it feel good, but I had never heard, really before that song, I had never heard anyone sing about loving another person in context with thanking God. And when you think about it, if God is love and you found an amazing love, why wouldn't you thank God? So I tell myself, in this body of work, it's a perfect fit, because I get a chance to do that thing that I've done on all my R&B projects by presenting the other genre of music that I record in the body of work. But it makes sense, whether you're a Christian or not, what if you're a believer, whatever it is, we still all experience life. When a friend of mine came out, church people didn't tell me they had never gone through that. I heard just as many men and women say to me that went to church, who called themselves Christians, who said that they were believers, who followed their faith, that they had been in a friend of mine's situation. I'd heard as many church people say that they had been in an as we lay situation as not, as non-church going people. So I appreciate the opportunity, with being so widely accepted in more than one genre of music, that I get to present real life, period, point blank. I get to present real life issues, real life love, real life heartbreak, real life comeback, real life restoration, real life answers to real life problems. It Will Rain is another one of those songs where I feel like you talk about some of the ugly of life, but you get a chance to talk about, in the end, that the sun is going to shine, keep your head high, God's going to take care of you, all of it. So to me, it was fitting, because it fits the Kelly Price theme of bringing you real life with messages of love and faith and hope, and all of that just wrapped neatly in a bow. So yeah, and the song is amazing, and it takes me back to my childhood.
Would you be willing to share a love story about Miss Whitney Houston with us?
Yes. Oh God, so many. So the last night we were together at my Grammy party in Hollywood, um, I knew she was coming. She let me know that she was going to be there. She actually beat me to my own party. Like, I was rushing and in hair and in makeup. I wasn't expecting her to show up until much later. The red carpet was going. People are coming in the party. You had Lettucey, you had Brian, like everybody, Casey and JoJo, Anthony Hamilton. And somebody calls me and they said, Whitney is here and she's on the red carpet. I was completely shocked. Number one, I wasn't expecting her to get there until later. We had timed my arrival so that my guests would have an opportunity to hit the red carpet first. And then also, for anybody that followed Whitney, Whitney hadn't been on a red carpet probably in 7 or 8 years. Even when she showed up at events, she wouldn't do the carpet. So when Whitney got there that night, they told me she's here and she said she's doing the carpet. So I'm like, okay, make sure that somebody's on her. Get myself in gear. I'll be there in a few minutes. I got there, went down to the holding area where everybody was, got a chance to sit and talk with her. Elder Barge was there that night, and he came down, and we hadn't seen El for a while, and he had a lot going on. He had a relapse at the time, but he showed up to the party, and so he came down, and we were sitting down there, and we were talking, and she started talking to him. Whitney sat with El in the basement of the club where the VIP section was before we all went upstairs, before the party and the concert got started. And she sat with him and she talked to him and she prayed with him. Mm-hmm. And it was a powerful moment. It really, really was a powerful, powerful moment. And, people can say what they want, but the one thing I do know is that the most qualified person to talk to you about something as heavy as addiction is somebody that's dealt with it. And addiction is something that I've seen up close in my personal life since I was a young child. My father was an addict. He had a substance abuse problem and he was an alcoholic. My baby sister, I lost her 7 years ago. She battled addiction since she was in her teens. And we lost her at 36 years old. Her body was just tired and her organs started to shut down. And so, having seen it so much in my life, to watch the power of that moment, she had even shared with me many times down through the years, Kelly, stay clean, don't do this, don't do that. Make sure that you protect yourself. Don't get tricked don't make people believe people are not really your friends. You are a commodity. Like she talked to me like that. You
Mhm.
are a commodity. You are a bottom line. When the next person comes along that fattens that bottom line more than you do, that becomes the priority. So be smart in this business. Keep your home together. Keep your business to yourself. She literally said to me, if your household don't make it, if your marriage doesn't make it, if everything goes to what, don't let it be because somebody from the outside dictated that to you. Let it be your decision. Maintain control of that. And so we shared so many moments like that. But on that night, the moment where everybody saw us together on stage, I wasn't expecting her to come up there. I would have never put her in that position. I wouldn't have asked her to do it. She was there to support me. And when I got up there just to acknowledge the guests that were in the room, she came to the side of the stage and walked up on her own. And she caught me by surprise. When I saw her coming, I was like, okay, what is she doing? And she came and she was like, give me the microphone. I was like, okay, who's gonna tell her no? So I handed her the microphone. And of course, that's the moment that the world witnessed. We sang, and then when she hugged me, she said to me, I am so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. She said, I've watched you. You've had stuff thrown at you down through the years, but you've carried yourself gracefully. You didn't let this business change you. You didn't let that happen. I love you. I'm proud of you. And yeah, and I didn't know what that moment was. It's almost like our spirit knows. I experienced that moment with my grandfather weeks before he died. I was with him in New York. And it's almost like the spirit knows, even if we don't know intellectually. In our lucidity, we don't know, but our spirit is always in communication with eternity. And looking back on it, it was like a goodbye. And I couldn't see it until after everything was done and everything was over, and she was gone, and having gone to the funeral, and it was just such a surreal moment. But I wouldn't change that moment. It was tender, it was genuine, it was authentic, it was filled with the love that we shared for each other for many, many, many years. She was very protective of me, very protective of me. She taught me how to stay away from things that she herself didn't stay away from. And that's how you know somebody loves you. It's not that they're being a hypocrite. Whatever that weakness is, whatever that is, I love you too much to see you go that way. And so she stayed in my ear. She stayed in my ear. From the time we met, it was instant love, instant sisters, and it stayed that way to the end.
What is your definition of grown folks music?
Ooh, grown folks music makes you feel. It reminds you of the good stuff, helps you get through the bad stuff, takes you back to a place when you wasn't so grown, when you thought you were grown. Probably doing stuff that you had no business doing because you really weren't grown. Yeah, grown folks music to me is everything that happened, in my opinion, in my coming of age, in my experiencing life, in my getting out of my training wheels or my training feet of life and getting into my adult shoes, and starting to walk it out. Grown folks music is all of that. It speaks to my heart. It speaks to my mind. It speaks to my spirit. It's not a genre. It's a feeling. It's an experience. It's what it makes you remember. It's what it makes you want to do. It's how it makes you feel. Grown folks music is all of that, and I love it. Grown folks music can be sexy. It can speak to your heart. It can speak to your spirit and uplift you. It can make you want to live to see another day. It can remind you why you are important and why you got to live out your purpose in life. It's all of those things. It's important to our existence. It's not flighty. It's not fly by night. Real good grown folks music when you can listen to it today and listen to it 20 years from now, and it still has the same impact on you, and it doesn't feel dated and it doesn't sound dated. It's just impactful and relevant and real and raw and everything that you need in the moment. It literally gives you what you need, no matter when you hear it. That's good grown folks music.
This is the part of the interview when you get to shout it out. And what that means is you get to tell us all things Kelly Price. You get to tell us where we can get Grace the EP,
Yes.
where we can get like Sunday Best, any other projects you have going on, all things Kelly Price, your social media handles, websites,
Yes.
things of that nature, all
Yes.
things Kelly Price.
Absolutely. I'm gonna shout it out. All things Kelly Price. You can find me online. Instagram, it is MS Kelly Price. Twitter, it is Kelly Price, the number 4 real. Facebook, it is Kelly Price Official. There's www.kellyprice.com. Grace is streaming on every streaming platform. You can get it on Spotify. You can get it on Pandora. You can get it on Apple Music. You want to copy your copy, you can do that on Amazon. You can do it on iTunes. Keep it locked to my social media. I am starting to get back into doing live appearances and live shows slowly but surely at COVID, at CDC compliant events where people are going to come in and be safe, and I'll be able to be safe and be there with you. I'm so excited about that. We're finally starting to slowly move back into live music. So I'll be announcing some shows that I have coming up, sprinkled here and there throughout the late spring and then into the summer and into the fall. So I'm excited about that. Come holla at me, communicate with me. I am a silly, silly girl in a 48-year-old body and frame and enjoying life. And yeah, that's all things Kelly Price. I'm in love. I'm planning a wedding. I got a lot of stuff going on right now.
Wait, you just gonna skip? Wait, real quick, you just gonna put that in there?
Yeah.
Say what?
Yeah, she's in love. She's planning a wedding. I said yes. I said yes.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you so much for joining us.
GrownFolksMusic.com